Hello everybody and welcome to Insider's Guide. Today we're discussing one of the most scenic ski resorts out there, Heavenly. Heavenly is really known for its stunning lake views and abundant tree terrain. It's also one of two ski resorts in the US where you can ski between two states, California and Nevada. In this video, we'll be discussing only what you need to know to make the most out of your Heavenly visit. When it comes to Heavenly, there's a lot to talk about, so this episode will be divided into 4 parts. For this part, we'll go over some background information and cover the lower California side. We'll work through the rest of the mountain in subsequent parts. So with that, let's begin an Insider's Guide to Ski Resorts, Heavenly. Heavenly is located in the heart of South Lake Tahoe and as such isn't too bad to get to. If you're coming from the Bay Area, Route 50 is the main way of getting here. If you're flying in from out of state, flying into Reno and then driving up is definitely your best bet. Like I mentioned earlier, Heavenly has terrain in both California and Nevada, which allows for it to have 4 distinct bases: the Stagecoach Base, Boulder Base, Heavenly Village Base, and California Base. I recommend against parking in the Heavenly Village Base at all costs, as parking there is extremely limited and mostly paid. While the gondola is very scenic, it's not really worth the price of parking in my opinion. In my decade of skiing at Heavenly, I've never once taken the gondola during the winter. The main California base is definitely the biggest and most popular base to park at. During peak times, this base area requires paid reservations. If you don't have a reservation, you'll be forced to park further down the road next to people's houses. From here, you'll be required to take a bus ride all the way to the foot of the ski resort. During these peak times, I strongly suggest that you find parking on either of the 2 less popular Nevada bases. If it's a non-peak time, then I actually love parking at the California base as it allows for you to quickly get up to the best groomers at the resort, which serve as a great warm-up. Moving to the Nevada side, I'll only recommend the Boulder base if the Stagecoach lot has filled up or you're a beginner. Otherwise, the Stagecoach lot is definitely the place that I recommend to park during peak times. Both the Stagecoach and Boulder bases require a bit of a further drive than the California base, but it's absolutely worth it to avoid the mess that is the California base. It's worth knowing that both Stagecoach and Boulder have relatively small parking lots in comparison to the California base, so be sure to get here early in order to secure a good spot. I'd also recommend parking at the Nevada bases if you're an expert looking to prioritize the terrain in the Mott and Killebrew Canyon zones. Before we start, I want to provide just a bit more background on Heavenly in general. Heavenly really specializes in beautiful cruising groomers and diverse tree terrain. The mountain has a solid 3,800-foot vertical drop. However, in many cases, true top-to-bottom runs are extremely impractical. The mountain is very good for intermediate and advanced skiers, but beginners should definitely avoid it as easy terrain is limited and not really connected. The mountain doesn't really have a reputation for its extremes. However, as we'll see in upcoming parts, the Mott and Killebrew Canyon zones are still very enjoyable for experts. Despite its very high elevation, the mountain is pretty much entirely below treeline and the only bowl-like run is Milky Way Bowl. For those of you who've never been, navigating around Heavenly is an absolute hassle, even after watching this Insider's Guide, so expect to get confused trying to get around. Several flat catwalks also compound this issue, so if you're a snowboarder, know that you're definitely going to struggle a lot in some sections. Long lines are going to be pretty much unavoidable if it's a weekend, and while I'll do my best to talk about maximizing your time, waiting in lines is going to be inevitable. This is especially crucial towards the end of the day because the last thing you'd want to do is get stuck in the wrong state. Heavenly is also notoriously prone to severe wind holds, so we'll discuss which lifts to be wary of. Finally, note that any run with dashed lines on the trail map indicates the easiest way down in the pod. First Ride is a beginner chair that services 2 beginner trails, although both of these trails are surprisingly narrow, which doesn't make for the best learning experience. Contrary to the name, this probably shouldn't be the first run you ski, and there are definitely marginally better areas of the resort for learning. In all of my experience skiing at Heavenly, I don't think I've seen World Cup run a single time, so don't expect it to be running when you visit. The singular blue it services is nothing special and is closed to the public a lot of the times for racing. So that brings us to the 2 main lifts on this part of the mountain, Gun Barrel and the Tram. We mentioned this in the Hater's Guide and I'll reiterate it here. The Tram is genuinely one of the most unnecessary lifts I've seen at a ski resort. Both the Gun Barrel lift and the Tram have the same start and end points, but you'll always have to wait longer for the tram car to arrive. Unless you want a slightly more scenic means of getting up this initial part of the mountain, I'd recommend Gun Barrel any day of the week over the Tram. We'll skip over Roundabout for now and talk about the terrain that's accessible directly from the top of Gun Barrel and the Tram. The Face is a very iconic mogul run that offers some of the best views of Lake Tahoe at the resort. The bumps here are deep. If you traverse skiers left of the Face, you'll get to Hogsback, an often overlooked glade run. Note that the snow at this low elevation can be extremely variable, and conditions might either be really good or really awful. Below Hogsback are Pistol and West Bowl, which are two mogul runs. It's unclear to me why these are rated single black while the Face, Gun Barrel, and East Bowl are rated double black. They're all roughly the same difficulty in my opinion, but not quite as busy. If you continue down the Face, you'll go to a fork. If you go skiers left, you'll come to one of the most legendary mogul runs in the world, Gun Barrel. Gun Barrel is best known for the Gun Barrel 25, a competition where riders compete to do 25 laps on Gun Barrel in 6 hours. The Face to Gun Barrel combination is almost a mile long and nearly 1,600 vertical feet of thigh-burning hell. While it's definitely overrated for challenge, Gun Barrel is absolutely worth doing if you're into bumps. Note that the Gun Barrel portion of the run is significantly steeper than the Face. If you're not feeling up to doing Gun Barrel after doing the Face, East Bowl is a slightly easier alternative. It's not as steep as Gun Barrel, and because it merges with the World Cup Groomer about halfway down, it's not as long either. East Bowl Woods is, surprisingly, the hardest run in this area. It offers a much steeper pitch than any of the other runs here and has the variability of Hogsback. Again, I don't really recommend any of the tree terrain down here because of the warmer temperatures. If you'd like to get back to the California base at the end of the day and you're not an advanced skier, you have two options. Option 1 is to take Roundabout all the way down to the bottom of the resort. Roundabout is also the only way you can do a true top to bottom at Heavenly. Pro tip, avoid this run at all cost. It requires you to catwalk uphill in the beginning and is flat the entire way down. I hate Roundabout and you should too. By far the best way of getting down to the California base other than skiing Gun Barrel is to download the Gun Barrel lift. You can download the tram, but unless you have a fear of heights, I'd recommend downloading Gun Barrel Express as it's a much more surreal experience. Normally, I'm not at all a fan of downloading lifts, however, this is 100% an exception. Downloading Gun Barrel is actually pretty scary as you're super high off the ground and the run that you're going down is quite steep. However, the views that you get while downloading the lift are absolutely breathtaking. I strongly recommend this way of descending the mountain over suffering through Roundabout. Note that to get to the top terminal of Gun Barrel from either Groove or Patsy's requires a bit of uphill sidestepping, so keep your speed up a bit. Also watch out for traffic coming from the Gun Barrel lift towards you. At the top of the Gun Barrel pod is a little magic carpet called Pioneer. There's a better magic carpet elsewhere at the resort, so I don't really recommend doing this one. Groove and Patsy's are two fixed grip triple chairs that run in this direction. Patsy's serves the homonymous green Patsy's, and Groove provides access to the Groove Terrain Park, which is pretty much Heavenly's sole terrain park at this point. The bottom of the Groove lift is where you can find the entrance to Roundabout. At the end of the day, these lifts can get a bit backed up since there's no way to the top of the Gun Barrel pod without taking these lifts. From my several visits to Heavenly, I haven't really noticed a significant difference as to which lift gets worse lines, but neither are that bad. The Powder Bowl pod is a bit of a weird one, as in the morning it's a brutal choke point since it's the only way to get to Sky and Canyon Express. In the afternoon, though, this lift generates no lines and is pretty much a guaranteed walk-on. The terrain here is short but decently enjoyable due to the significantly better snow quality given its higher elevation. Powder Bowl Run is a pretty enjoyable intermediate mogul run. Upper Mambo is a really fun cruiser that serves as a great warm-up run before heading further up the mountain. Mambo itself isn't really worth doing as it's significantly more congested. I definitely prefer Upper Mambo. Powder Line is essentially the run that goes directly under the lift. There are a few rock features here that can be fun to send on a powder day. Fall Line is a narrower bump run just lookers left of Powder Line. Waterfall is a wide open bump run that usually has pretty bad snow quality. Both Mambo and Swing Trail at Science Way can be used to bypass Waterfall. I believe Maggie's is the longest green trail on the mountain at about 1.1 miles in length. The upper part of this run can get very congested with all the traffic from the Sky and Canyon pod, as there's no real separation between Sky Chute and Maggie's. This is definitely not the place to be learning how to ski. However, the lower half of Maggie's is actually pretty nice and definitely isolated from more advanced traffic. This is probably the best green on the mountain, but it's definitely more challenging than the rest of the greens due to its sheer length and upper section. Powder Bowl Woods is by far my favorite run in this pod and one of several gems at Heavenly. This run usually requires a bit of catwalking at the top, which keeps a lot of people away. Although it is pretty short, the snow here is usually fantastic, especially after a dump of snow. The elevation can also preserve the snow a lot longer than you might think. Well, that's about it for the Lower California side. Go check out parts B, C, and D now, all about the rest of the mountain. As always, please leave any questions down below. Thank you all so much for watching. All my love, I'm out.